Definitely for that match against Emmanuel, we had to prepare for just them being very well-rounded and them being a strong defensive team. I think they kind of surprised us a little bit with how good their defense was, so they were able to make us make a lot of errors. But it definitely wasn't our best game, but it kind of helped propel us into our final weekend against Middle Georgia. Got all of our errors out before we went and played at Middle Georgia that weekend. So, but yeah, just really had to prepare for them defensively and a couple of offensive options they had. So, I think Emmanuel posed a challenge for us just because they're a team kind of similar to us right now, to where they're really hard to scout on film. They had a bunch of different kids that were playing, and they tended to have really, really good matches, and then some matches where they were a little off. So they were a little inconsistent in the film we were watching. So we didn't really know what team we were going to expect. Unlucky for us, we got the really good Emmanuel team. But yeah, that definitely posed a challenge. I think what we learned most from that match against Emmanuel was definitely to limit our own errors. We just made a lot of uncharacteristic ones that we don't normally do. So that was definitely something that going into that weekend against Middle Georgia, I think we definitely took into consideration, and we tried to make smart, aggressive shots and stay in rallies until we could execute. I think one thing from Thursday's match that carried over into the weekend against Middle Georgia was definitely our defense and serve receive. I felt like against Emmanuel on Thursday, our defense and serve receive was the best it had looked in a very long time, which was unfortunate that our offense wasn't connecting, because it would have been a good match for us. But I think that definitely translated into the Friday and Saturday matches, because our defense and serve receive stayed very strong throughout those couple of games. So hopefully that continues. Yeah, so from a preparation standpoint for the PBC tournament, I think it's a little different for us this year. There's a lot more belief in our locker room this year. In the past couple of years, there's been that excitement for it. But when you go into that situation and you haven't won a lot of conference matches, and you're playing teams that you haven't been able to take sets off of, there's not as much belief there. This year, with having been able to take sets off of a lot of teams, win games against certain teams, I think there's a lot more belief going into tournament. So preparation has been a lot more gritty. The work ethic in the gym has been a lot higher. And really it's just focusing on ourselves, because by the time we get to PBC tournament, we've played every team 3 times. So we kind of know what we're going up against. So really it's just focusing on honing in on the things that we need to be really good at when we go play. I think that there's more belief this year, just from a standpoint of the girls have put in a lot of work on building trust with each other, and just worked on believing in themselves as individuals as well. The past years, without having a lot of success and a lot of wins, it's really hard to believe in your capabilities as a team and even your capabilities as your individual self. And this year, I think with us being able to compete like we do, take sets off of teams, take matches off the teams, that really gives us a level of confidence going into it, where we can really feel like we'd be able to pull off a victory, which hasn't been able to happen for anybody in our program from a conference tournament standpoint. The last time we played Aiken was the weekend before Middle Georgia, so a couple weeks ago. We played them the weekend of our senior weekend. We were able to go 1-1 there. Definitely a good weekend, and I think that's kind of what jolted a little bit more of our belief there, pulling a win off of them. So our kids are really excited to get to play them again first round for sure. I think that we're pretty evenly matched with USC Aiken, to be honest. I think that from a perspective of who gets the win, it usually is who is more aggressive on the service line and can put kind of that first contact out of system a little bit more, and then who's making the least amount of errors. I do think that we are a better serve receive team than them, so I'm hoping that our serve receive is on so that we can utilize that. But we're both well-rounded. We have hitters that can come from everywhere. So I think that we're pretty well matched. There's not much that I can say that we do a ton better than Aiken, so it should be a good one. I think I don't really have any worry or stress going in and facing Aiken, just because I know what we're capable of doing when we play really well. And I know that it's going to be a good match. I think, they have a really good usage of their middles. So hopefully we can slow them down and make them have to work the pins. It's always tends to be a little question mark on who they have out there. They have a couple of kids that kind of remain on those pins. But other than that, they kind of interchange some people. So that will be some on-the-fly adjustments depending on who's in that match and who's starting. But I've never really had stress going into matches this year, just because I know what my kids are capable of doing. I guess the only stress would be if we actually show up and do that. Yeah, so the tournament is a little different this year from previous years. The entire tournament is being held at one site. In previous years, it used to be where there was a first round match that would have taken place actually yesterday, so the Tuesday before the weekend, where 4 and 5 would have played each other, and that team would have moved on to the weekend. But this year, with the addition of Salem coming in, and also Middle Georgia, we have some more teams, so they've decided to kind of combine it all into one weekend. So we'll be playing our first match on Friday. Friday night will be the third match of 3 that day. We'll play at 7 p.m. against Aiken. If we win that match, we'll play the following day on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. against Flagler. And then if we pull off that match, then championship match will be at 2 p.m. on Sunday against whoever pulls it out on the other side of the bracket. But from a Flagler perspective, I would say the same thing. I don't necessarily think that we surpass them in anything. I think that we compete with them well. They're another really well-rounded team. They have a lot of options. I do think that that would be another really tough one. But I think where we would have to kind of surpass them at would be hopefully to beat them out from a blocking perspective. Get more touches there and out-block them from a score standpoint. Most worried about when facing Flagler is probably just how well-rounded they are. They have weapons from every space on the court, and they're all weapons that have the potential to be all-conference players. So, you never know where that ball is going to go, and you know that if that ball goes anywhere, there's a good chance that they can score a point off of that. So there's that little bit of factor, a little bit of pressure on our block to have to guess sometimes and make the right choice. But yeah, that'd probably be what I would be most worried about.